Hi, everyone. Welcome to the You-est You podcast. This is Julie Reisler, and I hope by now you know I'm so thankful and honored to be here as your host. And let me just tell you something. You are going to want to be in a place where you can take notes here. This is going to be an incredible interview. I am so excited for you to meet my guest today. He is just a powerhouse and so full of wisdom and knowledge. It's going to help you to know your You-est You like at a whole different level. Let me introduce you and tell you about Richard Beaumont. Richard is the National Director of Human Design UK and Human Design Films Limited. He has been deeply involved with the human design movement and with human design for the last 2 decades. Much of his training was directly with the founder of the human design system, Ra Uru Hu. Richard was always a seeker and involved with the human potential movement. He was a regular participant in numerous self-development courses and groups. Richard enjoyed many of the group dynamics of self-exploration and even spent some time in India. His experience in both Eastern and Western self-exploration techniques of meditation, Tai Chi, Aikido, Encounter, Gestalt, and many other modalities prepared the ground for him to create one of UK's most influential mind, body, spirit magazines called Kindred Spirit. He created that in 1987.
Yeah, it's still going.
It's still going. And he interviewed, it's awesome, leading pioneers of consciousness of that time, Carolyn Myss, Eckhart Tolle, Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, Ram Dass, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, David Hawkins, Robert Monroe, and many others. All of these are just incredible leaders in my life too.
They're good people.
They're such good people. And I know, Richard, you were editor-in-chief of the magazine for almost 20 years until you sold it just before the economic downturn in 2008.
Yeah.
We're going to go through human design today. And what I will say for everyone listening is that all of his information is going to be in the show notes. And so if you want to download your own individual report, which I recommend, or book an individual session, all that will be there. That is a long intro. I am so honored to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Great to be here. Lovely to see you.
It's so good to see you. Number one, the accent, you just can't beat it. I'm so excited for all of my American or Canadian listeners that aren't, native to the UK. You have a great accent and just an amazing story. And can you just share, before we actually dive into human design, Richard, just to share a little bit about your experience both with Kindred Spirit, but also what you learned by interviewing some of these incredible people and over those 20 years of managing that magazine?
I was a seeker, so I was looking at all kinds of things. I did philosophy at university because I didn't know what else to do. After that, I still didn't know what to do. I mean, what the hell can you do with a philosophy degree? Not a lot. So I went to India and I kept looking for something more. It was just something more. When I looked around, there wasn't enough juice in life. I wanted to live life at another level and I didn't know where to go. So I started looking. Took about 10 years, all kinds of things. And then I got to a point on the harmonic convergence in 1987 when it suddenly came to me that I should do a magazine. So I went into that with a very strong response to do that. Now, interviewing these people, I was asking them for their views on life. I learned a lot from what they understood. And I did my best to make it really attractive for the readers, to put out, to go to the interesting people. But really, after 20 years of doing that, I had a lot of ideas come to me. I had a lot of understandings about the way things were, but I still hadn't found it. And it wasn't until I met the founder of Human Design that everything changed. That one meeting, that single meeting was enough to go, okay, the magazine is now secondary. This information is primary, because I was hearing truth. You recognize it. And he was so fun, Ra he's got a strange name. So that's another story. It's not necessarily a spiritual name. It means various things, but it's a long story. But the main thing is he got to me. You know, he got to me with the truth. He would say things that I knew would be that I knew were true about everything, and including about myself. Like, how the hell did he know? A bit like when I did the reading with you. I mean, how is it possible for to know someone at that kind of depth without ever meeting them? You know, it's a code. It's in the. If you can read the code, I mean, it is a kind of a matrix, but it's a dual matrix. So I had to learn it, and I've been now doing that for 20 years. So what I would say about the interviews was that it opened me up. It brought me some wonderful meetings, wonderful experiences, but it still didn't bring me to me. You can know about things, but until you actually know about yourself, there's no platform, there's no grounding. You're still pushed one way or the other, this thing or that thing. Once you know yourself, you're in the center, which is where everyone is really designed to be. But they don't know. So it's a new science. It's only been out about 30 years. Only recently, in the last 10 to 5, has it really begun to get known. But it's still it's not known very much. So I'm delighted to be able to bring this to your listeners and who love what you do, because this is major. This will make this is a life transformational tool, no question.
So a couple things. When we did our session, I mean, that, first of all, for those listening, it was one of the more powerful things I've ever done and encountered, and just the exploration and understanding of literally the makeup of who I am as an individual and human, and the level of depth that this code, that it decodes. It was incredible. I don't know if I'm even doing it justice. What I found interesting, I wanted to ask you about, part of a group of entrepreneurs, people, who are in to make a big difference in the world. We are part of this group that meets a couple times a year. We get coached, and we just work on really elevating ourselves on all levels. And the woman who was actually also was interviewed, Fabienne Fredrickson, who's just a phenomenal businesswoman, leader, empower. She talked about this. Actually, she talked about human design, and she was saying that, she said, I know that I'm a manifestor generator. And I thought, okay, what is this? I'd heard about it. But what I loved is that was part of the vernacular in this business meeting, so to speak. And she uses this to help her team come together and to support one another. And so it's just so applicable. Like, this is not just, you want to get to know yourself, but it's applicable in all areas. So, yeah.
There is a business side to human design as well. So there is a way of knowing what you have in you at a genetic level that can be good at different business.
Yeah.
What you add to it.
Yeah.
What you're absolutely hopeless at. I mean, and don't even bother going there. It'll tell you that as well. So if you're doing anything with business, I was the first person in the world to apply human design to the magazine. And I was unprepared for the results. Wow. I was, as soon as we had to get a certain number of people with certain life forces in them. And as soon as the last one walked in the door, everything started going. I mean, the phone started ringing. I mean, it was a little bit too chaotic. We hadn't refined the technique back then.
Yeah.
But the immediacy, the same time they walked in and became part of the group Hora, bang, the world started coming in. So it's the matrix. It's the matrix that can be lived either in ignorance or in awareness, and it applies to everyone. I've done readings for major people, people who run countries and politicians and famous people, and everybody needs to know who they are. If they don't know who they are, then nothing's really going to work.
Right. So I'm going to invite you to I'm thinking for people that are like, all right, what is it? Can you break it down? Like, how did Ra Uru Hu, maybe you could say a little bit about how he connected with this coding, a little bit about him and how it came to be birthed, and then just to break down what it is, because I can hear people like, all right, what is it? Like, how did this come to be? How can this thing tell, my report tell, like, the details of me? So I'm going to let you take it away, Richard, because I know you've done this many times before.
Well, this is Julie. Okay, this is a map.
For those watching,
this is the map of Julie. So it's like if you know astrology charts. So astrology will tell you part of the pattern, part of it, but it's only a part of it. So it's like a chart, and in that chart there are 9 squares and triangles. Each of them have certain attributes. You've either got them or you haven't got them. If you haven't got them, you want them. It's like the genes. The genes just want difference. So we are drawn to people who don't have what we have, but have something we don't have, because we're attracted to that. It's different. So if you don't know your design, you are going to be chasing what you're not forever. So it's a profiling system. I put it down as a profiling system, but it's really much more than that. It's not just a simple Myers-Briggs profiling system. It's much deeper than that. It goes into your potential, it goes into your cognition, it goes into we can look into the dietary regime for each person. We can look at the life pattern and where the purpose can be fulfilled, because it's all differentiated. The main thing about it is it's a science of differentiation. It tells us how we are unique, how we are different from every other person in the world. I mean, I'm a twin. I have a twin sister. We have similar chart on the surface, different underneath because it's very deep. We're different, even being twins. So if you know your difference, you've really got the key to your life. This is really what it is. It's going to be big. I mean, it is already over the world. It's going to get more and more. It's going to be used in business. It's going to be used in as it is in relationships. I mean, if you're in a relationship with someone, and you don't know who you are, and they don't know who they are, I mean, the worst can be expected. It's going to be, will you do this? No, I don't want to. Well, you've got to. Well, it's going to be, they don't understand really each other. You understand from experience over time, of course, but the detail, the subtleties, no, that's something that can be perceived, and that's something everyone can gain by. So how did it come to the world? It came to the world. I'm actually doing a film on it right now. It's going to go up tomorrow for the ABC course. Ra took me to the place where he had this experience. So this was a man who had basically walked away from civilization. He was a high flyer in America, and for some unknown reason, he stopped his car. There was a lot of traffic. He stopped his car. It was traffic lights had stopped it. He just got out of the car, went to get something from the shop, and kept on going, and didn't stop. Just walked out of his life. There was something pulling him. Obviously, he had to get somewhere. There's a long story about how he gets there, but he finds himself in Ibiza. He's got no money and he doesn't want any. He lives wild. He had a wild dog with him at the time, and he's heading back for this ramshackled ruina in Ibiza. It didn't have any electricity, and as he was heading back with the dog in the early evening, he noticed there was a light there. There was a light under the door. Didn't make any sense. There was only one way to light it, and that was with a kerosene lamp. And he had run out of kerosene. So he knocks on the door. In fact, the door was locked. It only had one key, and he had it with him. Big old key. It didn't make any sense. So he opens the door. The dog runs in. This is a huge dog, right? This is a dog that kills sheep before Ralph found him.
My gosh.
Rushes through the door. Suddenly flat on the door, unconscious. Ra thought he'd been killed. Ra walks in the door really angry. Someone's killed his dog. Walks in, bang. Same thing happens to him. He's on the floor in pain, feeling all the water leave him. He said it was the most excruciating pain he's ever felt. And then he hears a voice. And the voice when the voice speaks, there's no pain. and it orders him to write down certain things, to draw certain things. And in 8 days and 8 nights, all the information from human design came through.
Wow.
It came, I mean, you could call it a revelation. This is not unusual. There are revelations that have happened throughout history.
Yeah.
Think of the I Ching. Think of Einstein talking about he gets his best ideas when he sleeps. You know, there's different ways of bringing in new information, which is also coded in human design. So I can tell who can have that kind of experience. You, for example, Julie, will have incredible dreams because you have a fixed life force that will basically bring in things from the outside. Very inspirational mind. So it happened over 8 days and eight nights to one man who didn't want to say anything about it. He was like, "You must be joking. No one's going to believe this."
Wow.
And so he tried a few things out with his friends, and it kept fitting and kept fitting. And it was people like me that made him tell more. We want to know more.
Yeah.
What else do you know? Come on.
Yeah.
So he was kind of forced to bring out the information. And it's now developed into a really deep science, but it's also a science of awakening. Because there are consequences for living correctly. If you're in it's yin knowledge. It's like feminine knowledge. This is the balance to all the yang that we've been having. This is the balance to all the strategic, conquering of the planet. This is the balance. This is about coming back to who you are and living life from that. So it's needed, and it's called human design because it is for humans, but we also have other information about everything else as well. So, you know, there's information about the forms, the different life forms. There's information about time. There's information about what's going to happen. There's a lot of information.
Woo! Where do we go from there? I literally feel like as I'm taking notes, there's so many ways we could go. One thing you said, there's a lot that you said. You know, one of the reasons I was so drawn to it, I love what you talked about, this idea of the yin, you know, yin and yang being masculine, yin being feminine. And, you know, you said living correctly. And I'm thinking for people listening, this is like a different kind of living correctly is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Human design is part of it. It's a language, and correctness for us means you operate according to your inner authority and you live according to your unique strategy. There's a way that everybody can make correct decisions, and this is its real practical side. So if you, for example, you know, you're here to respond, Julie. There's noises that you make. There's energy running through the body towards something if it's correct for you, and it shrinks back if it's not good for you. It's automatic, and you have direct awareness to it. Not everybody has awareness to that. So you know, you can consciously recognize it as it happens. So that's a response. Other people have perhaps an emotional authority where they have to really feel into something over time. Some people have it through the splenic system, which is tingles across the skin, goosebumps, or hackles up the back of the neck or on the temples. There's different inner authorities where you tell yourself if you're up for it or not. And if you ignore that and think, well, I've got to do what I've got to do, and if you come from here, you're going away from your life. You're going deeper and deeper into creating a life that doesn't fit you.
And those listening and not watching, what you were doing was pointing to your head. And I was thinking, I'm sure I know a lot of people struggle with this. One of the learnings for me has been understanding, first of all, where my intuition lies, which I now know. I had a sense with talking to you about it being in my sacral chakra and knowing that, and now knowing what that feels like and sounds like, because we can often go into our head and think that that's where the answer, or that's where our true self lies. I am telling you, I don't know anybody else. I am learning that is not the case for me. And I would imagine many others, no matter how their design is, that like that this knowledge, it's not in the head, it's somewhere else. It's within.
It's absolutely, it's not mental. The mind is really a witness to what's going on. It's good to be able, it can measure something after the decision.
Yeah.
But the decision, no. At a biological level, there is something happens in the body and the mind becomes aware of it a split second later. But it happens in the body first.
Right.
So the same applies with our decision making. The mind is never going to be the correct decision maker for anyone. So if you can find out. In fact, I'm actually going to be putting out a very mini free report in a couple of months on my website, so people can get that information anyway.
Awesome.
Or they can go for the full one now or afterwards. They probably will want the full one once they see what's in the show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the point is, I'm trying to make it available. We really want to make it available not just for people now, but for the children. So we have to speak to the parents to get to the children, so that the children are operating correctly for what's coming.
Yeah.
This is why it's come now, to help prepare the human race for what's happening, what's going to be coming in the future.
I want to touch upon the future in a moment, because I'm very curious. I'm sure those listening would love to know. Before we look at the future, a couple questions about the actual influences or design, because I know you mentioned this, that when he had his real revelation, from what I understand, I know you mentioned the I Ching. What are some of the influences that those can research or have heard of that you have found are part of the culmination that makes what we call human design?
It's both exoteric and esoteric. So we have knowledge related to biochemistry, to genetics, to the physicality of reality, if you want. So we have the sciences. There is quantum physics in there as well. It's all part of the explanation. In fact, there are things that Ra was told that have yet to be discovered, and that so far he was told was going to be discovered has been. So I reckon it's about another 8 years before we find out another key element that scientists are looking for at the moment. But so it's scientific in the esoteric sense. In the esoteric sense, it has the Chinese I Ching.
Okay.
It has the Kabbalah from the Zohar.
Yep.
It has the chakra system, related to the chakra system. It has a bit of astrology in it. Those are the main ones. But the I Ching and mathematics bring the whole thing together. In a long time ago, in 1998, there was a book called The Tao of Physics, where the mathematics of genetics and the I Ching, these 64 chops or icons with lines in them, broken line or broken line or a fixed line. So these little hexagrams, they show all possible human experience. That is encoded genetically at a scientific basis as well. And books have been written about this before human design, but human design brings the whole thing together. So all possible human experience as a possibility.
Yeah.
And then you've got human design, which makes it personal.
Yeah.
So you see what you've got in you that others don't have, that you have. And you begin to see what's in you. You can begin to see who you are, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Can you paint a picture? Because for those listening in audio, the podcast can't see it until you go to the site and look this up. Because I found it to be, I remember when I first saw the full picture, I was like, my gosh, that's a lot. It was so intricate and like, holy moly, this is way more in depth than a typical personality assessment. And I've taught those personality assessments like Myers-Briggs, which are fine. Carl Jung is, great. This is like next
Carl
level.
Jung, we have a lot to thank Jung for, you know,
Oh,
really do.
we could just moment of silence. He's brilliant. This to me was like literally next galaxy, not even next level. I'm like, this is something else that maybe just paint a picture, like even giving people a sense what that diagram looks like.
Okay.
A bit about, if that's okay.
Yeah, there are 9 centers. So if we go from the top center, it's like a triangle, and it's called the head center. This is where inspiration comes. You know, it's the rarest thing. Only 29% of people, one of them sitting right in front of me, and Julie, has a fixed inspirational center. So 71% of us are searching for inspiration. And it's connected, and here's Julie providing it. You see, it works. Underneath that is the conceptual mind, usually a green center. This is the way we think. We all think differently. Not only do we all think differently, we all see differently. We all think we see the same, but we don't. Yeah. And at the deeper levels, you can see, you know, you can see what you're designed to see. It's just, you know, it's magic. Underneath the conceptual mind with that triangle, upside down triangle, we have a square, and the square is the throat, associated with the thyroid. It's about how we manifest, what we manifest. If people don't have that filled in, then they will be measuring manifestation. But basically, it's about manifestation, speaking and doing. Underneath that, there's a white diamond, like a square on its side. This is a center of identity. It's to do with love, direction, and identity. So some people have a fixed identity. Some people mirror the identities of others and become, well, they take in that other really deeply, like you do, Julie. So this, you know, it's like when you meet someone else, you reflect back, and they open up to you because you're reflecting back to them, but you take in who they are. Underneath that, there is the sacral. This is the square, the red square. This is the power, the life force power that about 70% of us have. This is the power to keep going on and on and on. Only 70% of us have it. The other 30% don't. They're not here to work like you and I are. We're here to work and to enjoy our work.
Yep.
There are people that are not designed to work consistently. 30% of us not designed to work consistently. You know, part-time work or consultancy work, but not all the time, not like us.
Yep.
You know, we're here to be satisfied in our work. They're not. They're here to have a life without too much work.
Right. Yeah, I'm not in that camp. I can tell you that right now.
No, me neither. We got to work.
Yeah, love it.
Underneath that, the final center at the bottom is the root center. It's tied to the adrenal glands. It's the pressure when you have to do something. You know, the adrenals getting you to run faster or to fight if you have to, if you're in danger. So this is a kind of an emergency supply. On two sides, there are triangles on their side. On the left, there is a spleen. This is the intuition. This is an awareness, pure awareness, ancient awareness. It relates to a time when we were closer to reptiles than humans. We had to be aware of if we're going to be eaten, and there's a kind of a sudden warning that we get, and they get out the way. Some of us still have that in us. Yeah. You still have that in you, for example. So that's the shivers you're going to get through the body.
Yep, have them right now.
Yeah. This is really, it's also, it's a little bit spooky because it's so true. But actually, it's a huge force for good.
Yeah.
It's here for humans at this time for a reason. On the right-hand side, we have another triangle. This is a solar plex. So this is about emotions. It's about chemistry moving through the body, and it moves from pleasure to pain. It moves from happiness to sadness. It moves up in different waves, and then it comes down, and then it goes up, and then it comes down. 50% of us are emotional. Those people who are emotional, they're going to feel, they're going to probably think it's someone else's fault sometimes or whatever, because the pain is in them, but then they process it, they move through it, they come out the other side.
Yeah.
This is both an emotional power, and it's also an awareness that can be even deeper than the intuition. It's they're birthing a new kind of awareness that's going to go through a transformation in 8 years. So there's something moving there. And the final center is a little red one just above the solar plex. It's called the ego center, the will center, or the heart center. And this is this like supercharged energy which can be used according to those people who have will. You know, we don't all have will. We all think we should have will, but we don't. Only 35% of people have real willpower. And you know those kind of people because they're only going to tell you something once. They don't want to waste their energy telling you the same thing twice. You know, and it's like, you know, I've spoken, you know,
right.
This is it. You know, it's like that. So it's much more, it's very impressive, but it gets tired if it goes on too long. It's only the sacral that can keep us going, working like we do. So those are the 9 centers. Within the centers, they're joined with channels. Not too many. I know it sounds complicated, but there aren't too many. You'll see when you see the chart.
Yeah.
There's only 36 channels. And these are life forces. So these are like the Kabbalah side of it. This is a quantum. There are 2 gates or 2 hexagrams on either side of the channel. And when they come together, you've got the whole thing, you've got a quantum of that. So there's that side of it. And the I Ching is in the lines, each gate, each number. There are 64 hexagrams, there are 64 gates. Each of those gates is lived at a 1 of 6 lined level on the surface. So there are qualities to the energy, there are qualities to the awareness, there are not only that, there's also descriptive statements about each one. I mean, it's a real dictionary. It's like a database of who you are shown in a 2-dimensional diagram. I mean, you have to learn it to be able to read it, but I teach it, and there's people teaching. I've been teaching it been in this for more than 20 years. I've been teaching for at least 15 of those, all over the world, so that there are more and more people who can really read it. And I'm a stickler for, when I teach, I want the students to get it right. I want the accuracy. So I don't mess about when it comes to this. If I'm sending people out with my name on it, I want them to be able to do a good job. So it's being taught. I hope to have a book coming out later on this year. I think it's should be about September, where I'll be talking about it from my perspective after being so long in it, and a few stories about Ra and the whole thing, where it came from, and my experience with all that. So
wow,
that's what it is in a nutshell.
Woo, you did a beautiful, beautiful job. I so appreciate it. And I encourage everyone listening, like, go check this out. We'll have all the information, but it is one of the most incredible things was really going through this with you and getting information, like confirming some of the things that I have felt about myself. For those, you know, we all have, I think, these kind of inner knowings or thoughts or, oh, that makes sense. Okay, that's why I'm actually not that emotional sometimes. Like, I feel like I should be, but I'm not. And it it was so unbelievably accurate and so fascinating. You know, I find it interesting. I'm sure there's a connection, but the 64 gates, I was just looking at, for some, this might be new, but I was looking at different signs and symbols and sacred geometry. And I know the flower of life is 64, I think, circles, or it just popped out to me when you said that. Like, it's just so fascinating, these numbers. Even 36 is double 18, which is in the Kabbalah. 18 is, you know, life. And so I'm like, it's fascinating. I'm sure there's got to be some connection.
There's definitely connections, and there's all kinds of numbers that pop out as you go into it.
Yeah.
The 64 is inherent in, it is the number of the matrix. I mean, this is something from about 5000 BC.
Okay.
And it's been commented on by many different people. I mean, Jung brought it to the West. God bless the man. He was very important in bringing the I Ching to us. So things come when we're ready. And this is a very key aspect of it. But to be able to personalize it, that's never been done before.
Yeah.
To be able to find a way to be able to describe someone accurately, even down to mannerisms, the way you do this a lot with your fingers, is part of this genetically in you.
Right. That's so funny. People listening or just listening, I'm moving my hands in a certain way. And when we had the conversation, I know Richard was like, you're going to do this with your hands. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm definitely living into that. It's fun. That's the other thing. It may sound complicated, but it's actually a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. You're right. Yes. Can you talk about the 5 different overarching types?
There are 4 different types. There's some people who have gone off piece, if you like. Ra came up with the 4 types. He insisted there were 4. There are some people teaching 5 because if they teach 5, they have to miss out the aura. And Ra includes the aura.
Okay.
So there's only 4 different types of aura. Okay. The aura that you and I have is an open and enveloping aura. So we, in that sense, as we move through, we've got this life force in us. We're manifesting generators. As we move through, the energy goes out from us. In a nice, fuzzy, warm feeling. The other 3 types love that because they can get nice and warm on that. That's life force, right? If you go into the manifester, they are another type. They don't have that. They have the ability to manifest. They have a closed and repelling aura. So people don't really know what's going on with them. If you're a manifester listening to this, let me remind you that when you sneak up on someone or just come close to someone from behind, they don't know you're there. And if they suddenly turn around and you're there, they go, what the hell? You scared me, because you can't feel them coming. They're here to manifest. They're here to break open to new territory. They're very important. In fact, we all are. The projectors are the 3rd type. Okay. The projectors also don't have the life force, but what they have is this focused and absorbing and penetrating aura. And when they go into you, and they're more interested in the other than themselves, when they zero in on you, they can pick up the frequency. They're here as guides. They're really here as guides. And they need to be invited. They need to be recognized for their guidance. And those are the people that I invite when I need guidance, because I need you and me, Julie. We're powerhouses, like you said, perfectly correctly. But we do need guidance sometimes, because we can go so fast, we can do so much. It's like, hey, someone else to pinpoint things sometimes. So they're projectors. And the final one is the reflector. Now, if you look at a reflector's chart, there are no colors in it. It's completely open. It's just white with some of the gates colored in red or black, but just white. So they're completely open. They have an aura that is like Teflon. It's designed to be non-stick. They're really there's about 1.4% of the population. And they're really here as assessors, as judges, to be able to just move through and pick up what's going on. Now, that would be a wonderful world. It would be a wonderful world if the generators did the work, the manifestors broke through to new territory, and we came in and sorted it out afterwards. The projectors guiding us, making sure everything was going well, and the reflectors there just checking on everything, And if there's something out of sync, they move in. That would be a wonderful world. Of course, it isn't like that, because very few people are living as themselves.
Yeah.
So you've got wild energies going off in all directions, people chasing things they think they want. When they get them, they don't really want them. Yeah. It's what we call the not self world.
Mm-hmm.
It's deeply frustrating, and it's the story of most people's lives.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. For those people that find out about it, there's an experiment. You practice. You just keep an eye on your very simple thing. You know, for Julie, you just got to keep an eye on your response. Do you move towards something or away? What are the sounds that come out of you? What do they tell you? And it's very simple. It sounds complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It's not lived at a complicated level. It's lived in a simple level. We're here to come back to ourselves. That's it. It's natural. After all, it's natural.
Right. Oh, that's so well. And I think about the whole, I was just in my mind thinking this is so exactly what the You-est You is literally, this whole concept is about.
Yeah.
Exactly this. Like there is no one else. You have your own lane of who you are, your sacred calling, your sacred potentiality, your design. And what I love about you, what you're doing about this, it's like this is another avenue to uncovering your You-est You, your most unique self that is only each person has an individuated expression and design, which is what you're masterful at deciphering.
I love it. You know, that's what's part of the fun, that you never know. Everyone is different.
Yeah.
So although I know the knowledge, when I meet it in a life form, when I meet it in a person, or when I meet it in an animal, if I know the birth time of the animal, or if I meet it on a day and I know what's going, the themes of the day, it's like a tapestry. It's like, wow, look at that. Wow. Yes. You know, and so it's exciting.
It's so exciting.
It makes life interesting.
That's for sure. I have a question. You may not know the answer, but I'm thinking for those that are, maybe this is like their first time trying to get the concepts, like even as we went through the 4, do you know any well-known people, celebrities, figures, politicians, people in history that you could point to and say that person was a manifestor, that person is to just give context? Because I think I'm kind of actually, it came out of the like, who's the 1.4? Who's the reflector? That is so cool. I want to know a reflector.
Yes. If you want to know a reflector, Sandra Bullock is a reflector. For those who are of an older generation, Richard Burton was a reflector.
Okay.
You know, so when a reflector, and they make great actors, of course, because there's nothing fixed. They can literally be that person. Yeah. I mean, Richard Burton was known as a bit of a drinker. Right. And during Angry Young Men, they said, "Oh, this should be easy for you, Richard. You just got to play a drunk." He goes, just have a drink, you'll be fine. He goes, no, I can't act if I'm drunk. No, I can't do it if I'm drunk. Right. You know, it was like he had to fully go into the role.
Yeah.
So a manifestor would be Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
If you want where do you want them from? If you want, there are 4 types, so we cover all kinds of people. If you want to look at, I was doing one on President Trump the other day. I'm doing a course, so I've included him. Hold on.
Okay.
He's a generator of some sort. Hold on.
Interesting.
Let's see, where is he? Oh, Oprah Winfrey.
Yes. I love Oprah. What is Oprah? I would guess manifesting generator, but I don't know.
She is a well, hang on. No, she's a triple split generator.
Ah, okay.
She's a triple split generator. So that means there's 3 sides to her, there's about 11.5% of people that have 3 sides to them. And like you, in fact, you are also, you're a manifesting generator triple split. So basically, for example, if I look at Oprah, let me just put her in. So, okay. So one of the things about Oprah is that she has a kind of stabilizing presence.
Yeah, for sure.
She's also someone that is emotional and is very aware of the needs of the people. Yeah. She's very sensitive emotionally. She's got quick reactions. She can think on the spot, but she needs to give time to her for domain decisions for her. Separate from this, she has the channel of awareness. This is like, it's almost like channeling knowing.
Yeah.
Channeling occult knowledge, dare I say.
Yeah.
Because the 61 is the gate of occult knowledge.
Mm.
So a very spiritual person, obviously. Also one that is very good at networking. There's a kind of a childlike quality about her because of the profile. And she has this open throat. So it's not about, despite her massive success,
Yeah.
it's not about her manifesting. It's about her basically taking in manifestation from others, such as interviewing, as for example, or just measuring what's actually going on. And is it just and fair for the people? And who's suffering?
Yeah.
You know, and who's a complete swine? And who's really good? You know? Mm-hmm. And how can we help everyone? She has this side to her to really take people into a journey of experience. A lot of sensuality in there as well. Okay, President Trump. Mr. President Trump. Now, he's a funny one. He's a manifesting generator like you and me,
mm-hmm.
but he's emotional.
Mm.
So, you know, he's designed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's designed to take his time, and instead he goes rushing into things like a lunatic, you know?
Oh, wow. Yep.
So he has this intimacy that's there underneath. So whatever you may think about him, when you're in his aura, there's this feeling of like, you know, let's make a deal. Let's see what we can do. Let's try to come to peace.
Yeah.
You know, he has something in him that can penetrate any aura and to create this kind of trust, this kind of intimacy that's there.
Right.
But he also has a very strong manifesting channel, so he can lose his temper. Quite, you know, that's going to be part of it. Right. The funniest thing about him, he has a fixed will. You can see, you know, he has the channel of money, you know, but he doesn't know who he is. He really doesn't know who he is. So he's actually, in our system, you'd call him a kind of a king. He's like a king pretending to be a president. Because he's not about being a president in a democracy. He's about being the king, going, you do this, you do that, stop that, get away from me, get rid of those.
Like a monarchy versus that I could see that.
and an argumentative mind. He's got a logical aspect to the mind that can cause problems because he thinks he's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating.
So quick look.
Wow, cool. I especially like the digging into Oprah. She's one of my biggest inspirations. That is so cool. That is so cool. I'm so glad we did that. I wanted to give people some context. That was really fun. All right, so I've been waiting to ask this question because you alluded to it. And I'm just going to say for those listening, like, you know, I always say, take what you like and leave if it doesn't all make sense, that is okay. I love expanding our way of thinking and being and understanding. That's part of why with this podcast, it's really about, you know, unleashing you. And so, you know, I want to dive into, I've been waiting, Richard, to talk about the future, talk about what you are comfortable, willing to share. Actually, quick question. Is Ra Uru Hu still alive? Is he still with us?
No, he's not with us, unfortunately.
Okay.
No.
Not physically at least, but right. So,
no.
Okay. So you had the opportunity of getting to know him when he was alive.
Yeah, we worked together. I ran human design films, so I was actually filming him during his teaching. Wow. And then turning those into films, which are now available on the website. A lot more are going to be coming out. This was back in the day when it was tape rather than digital, so I had to turn everything into digital media, which is something like 450 hours. So it's being slowly released. There's some there, more will come out as the years go by.
Wow. So the future. Let's dive in because that's where I'm already thinking for those listening. If you cued in, like I'm very curious what you can share. What would be interesting to know.
Okay. Well, there's certain thing I'm going to be doing a film on it because if you go through the Vedic tradition, you can see the way things are. And in the wheel of human design, we can move the wheel one way or the other. We can go into the past or we can go into the future. When we go into the future, we can see things in global cycles.
Yeah.
For example, what we're coming to the end of right now is the global cycle of planning. It includes family values. It includes civilization in terms of the UN looking after people that have been in earthquake scenarios or whatever, the policing, the getting the details right, the increase of technology, the skills, the focus on improving life. That's been part of the pattern, and coming together, the tribal side of family, the tribal side of I'll support you and I'll add technology and build the civilization in a more, so to make it easier for people. That's coming to an end in 8 years. We're already seeing it coming to an end. The cross of planning is coming to an end. That's why things are breaking down. You can't stop that. Anyway, you can't stop the earth heating up either. That's also in the pattern. I mean, what I'm saying, there will be a breakdown. There is already a breakdown. Exactly the content of it, I don't know. I'd have to look into the years, and I simply haven't got time or that much interest to know year on year, although I'll be watching closer as we get closer to that time. So in 2027, there will be a new cycle. Okay. And we're already feeling it now. When you're talking about a global cycle, you're talking about something that lasts about 450, 460 years.
Wow. So
we're already feeling some of that. And this is a time, the time of the sleeping phoenix, okay?
That's what I'm wearing.
That's your cross. So this time of sleeping phoenix is coming to the whole world. And this is a time of much more mutation, much more in a way, I mean, it's going to take time, but things are going to break down. For the listeners, don't worry too much about it. We're talking about hundreds of years, but things will be very different in the future, which is why this information has to reach to the children so they can make their decisions correctly, so they can survive, and we can have a functional human race. We know already that the humans will survive. They will survive right to the end. But so part of it is the breakdown. Part of it is the emergence of something that is not yet here. It's the emergence, how can I put this subtly? I can't really, so I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
It's the emergence of a completely new species.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be birthed through human females.
Wow.
I mean, people start thinking, oh yes, like the alien, come popping out of the body. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's actually, they're going to look very autistic. You can see there's been a rise in autism, and there's been a rise in prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. There's a change in the chemistry of one of the amino acids that's really primary to the emotional system. One of the reasons why we have such a high population at the moment is that we needed the program needed, when I say the program, it's like the big picture.
Yeah. Genetic coding.
But we needed enough people so that there'll be enough people for this new species to come from. And that's where we're at now. There will be a huge depopulation. You think there's a lot of people? There won't be enough people.
Oh, wow.
You can already see, as the cycle is coming to the end, that we're losing skills. We're losing skills. You want someone to do your old-fashioned windows. Well, the guy that could do it is, 87, and he's not going to live very long,
Yeah.
We're losing skills. This is part of it. What's coming is a time of great selfishness, and a time of people being busy just living. But that's in the future. Mm-hmm. There will be a line-up between the fundamentalists, obviously, from both sides. It's not going to go away, but it will be resolved. There will be movement beyond that, and beyond what could be quite a difficult time a few hundred years from now. will come to an end. And for human beings, this could be living correctly. It could be a beautiful time. We also develop, by the way, something that Ra never talked about. I've looked in to see how this affects us as well as the new species. So when I talk about the new species, just a quick one-liner on it. It is.
Yeah, I know. Like, say more. Yeah.
They're going to look like us, but they're not us, and they're not human.
Okay.
When they're born, they're not going to cry, which is going to be weird for the mother, and it's going to be weird for the nurse when the mother says, "Is that normal?" And it's going to be weird for the doctor too, that goes, "No," and they're all going to be trying to reassure the mother. But basically, they are born physically. They are very internalized, like an intense form of autism. But at the same time, they're not really born. They are waiting to meet others like them, and the raves will begin to come in small numbers, and then it'll increase. There'll still be enough infrastructure to bring them together. Let's put them all in the place where we deal with these extremely autistic people. Wow. And as soon as they come into the room together and the auras overlap, I mean, their designs are nine-centered like humans. So we know quite a lot about what they will have in them. But what they will have that we don't have is they'll have this group mind. Yeah. You know, we can't know what the other person is thinking. Yeah, we can't get inside of each other's heads. Yeah. The raves are waiting for this. As soon as they come together, bong, suddenly the lights come on. You know, we're talking about one mind and many bodies. And if you think about it logically, if you think about the greatest biomass on the planet, it isn't humans. It isn't humans. We're the top of the food chain, but it's not us. It's insects. Yeah. It's insects. You know, we're talking more of a hive mentality, but one that will be working on frequency, breaking everything down into frequency. You'll see the program turning in humans as well. So you see us getting our internet, you know, many bodies all trying to put it together in the internet, all this information you can get. The program is the program. It gets lived out at a human level or at this other level. So that's a little taste of what's coming. The film I'll do on it will be at the end of the year, maybe at the beginning of next year. But there's too much to do before I put that out. But I'll be working on it. So. Wow.
All right. So to just recap what I'm hearing, and just for people tuning in who are like, what?
I know what to say.
This is according to Ra Huru.
Yeah, but we've had a lot. Well, obviously you verified it personally. I've verified it personally. I've also verified it through, I don't know how many tens of thousands of charts I've seen, but it's verifiable. It's a science. You can verify it. You can check it out. You can find that it works.
Yeah. So we're ending a cycle in about 8 years, and then we're shifting into the time of the sleeping phoenix, which is going to have a different feel to it. And I'm hearing this new species maybe looks like human, but different capabilities. It sounds to me like a lot of telepathy and being able to tap into one mind, like a different consciousness, perhaps.
And much more.
And much more that I'm probably watering it down. This is so cool.
You can see it in the human fiction. We've got our X-Men. I mean, I was reading the X-Men when I was a boy. So I'm glad we got movies and all the things with the Marvels. Yeah. I enjoy seeing them come to life. But some of that is predictive, just as it was from some of the novels at that time. So there's a movement. Yeah. But this new species will be the embodiment of that. It will take them time to mature. Yep. So people shouldn't freak out. There's not going to be a whole lot of them to begin with. Right. I will certainly be looking for them. I'm sure everyone in human design will be.
Wow.
We know some of the signs, but the point is, they're not going to be interested in us. They're not about conquering us. They're not interested in us. They're not going to want to live anywhere near us. They're developing a new kind of awareness.
Wow.
That's beyond us.
Is there anyone that you know of now on the planet who is from this different species, or not yet? Not that you know of.
They haven't been born yet. They haven't been born yet.
Okay.
You
This
know,
is so cool.
I mean, some people, I know some of my clients, one in particular I'm thinking of, works with autism. And
Yeah.
so we've had some interesting conversations. But it's after 2027, you'll see it will change. The prostate thing won't be a problem. The autism thing won't be a problem. People might think it's a problem, but it will have reached its fruition in the development or the birth of this new species.
Wow.
And I know it sounds wacky, and I can't prove that until it's here.
Yeah. We'll come back to this. I'm going to be like, 2027, we're going to release it.
Yes. Yeah, do.
Yeah. I mean, I, for me personally, and for those listening, I know this might be expanding your mind. You might be thinking like, what the heck? Look, I've become, when I really tune in, and maybe this is my design, all is possible. And the more that there was a book I read, this is a whole other conversation, by Barbara Hand-Clow about the different dimensions and about, I think we're scratching the surface of who we really are as human beings and what we're part of that's way bigger than us. I mean, this is like, we probably need a part 2, because that's an
I can take you down a few windy roads if you want me to. If the listeners want me back, if you want me to come back.
I'm going to check in with everyone. Well, whether they do or not, we're going to have a conversation. Maybe we'll part 2, and because that I do find that's fascinating. It's just it's a good reminder, that we're individual, and there's a way to live that's in accordance and in alignment with our highest purpose and how we're designed, and then we're also part of something so immense. It's unfathomable.
And the life, if you live according to your strategy and authority, life gets easier. There isn't that resistance. You're not pushing so much.
For sure.
You're more sensitive to you.
Yeah.
You're more aware of who you are. You're more aware of who the others are. Life gets easier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wow. This has been one of the more fascinating conversations. I just so honor you. I love that you started out as saying you're a seeker. And for those seeking, look, even starting with, who am I at the deepest design level? Like I just can't recommend you and doing this report and work with you enough. Like it was so fulfilling and eye-opening for me. And I'm grateful for the work you're doing. And this yin, feminine, internal knowledge and knowing is so needed right now. And
sure is, yeah.
And
it's here. And I'm not seeking anymore, by the way. Once I met Ra, that was it.
Yeah. No more seeking.
No more seeking. It was like, now I want to go into what this is. So,
now it's uncovering and sharing.
And yes. And having fun seeing. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This was so much fun. And the accent was great. And the information.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on your show. And it's been a delight, really. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.